Hello there. Welcome. This is the Disability Law Show. We are back for another week. Hope you can hang out for the entire 30 minutes. You will learn something. I can guarantee that much from this gentleman right here, Sivan Tumarkin. And he is, of course, with disabilityrights.ca. You want to reach out to Sivan anytime at the firm or a member of his team. You're always encouraged to make that phone call. Could be a simple question. Could be something where you need a consultation. There's no charge for those. The number is the same, 1-855-821-5900. Email we use is help@disabilityrights.ca. On the show over the next half hour, a lot to cover. In fact, our main topic is how can your medical team strengthen your LTD claim? We'll get to some phone calls from one of our radio shows across the country, emails, and all kinds of other things. So lots to be learned and lots to get through, Sivan, but we always start off with a week that was, or case of the day, to get us all warmed up, pal. What is on the docket for this week?
John, good to be here with you and our viewers. I will talk about something that obviously has been hitting the airwaves for a bit now, the tariffs.
Wow, okay.
But I'm not going to talk politics. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about an interesting call that I received from an individual's wife who's concerned about her husband. And the question really was that her husband has been dealing with mental health issues for the last little bit. And he's been struggling at work, and he's been dealing with, he has a psychologist, he has a family doctor, so he's been getting treatments, he's been functioning. Mm-hmm. But when the tariffs came into effect, that kind of sent him over the edge. And he had a lot of concern, she had a lot of concern as to whether or not that would be sufficient for him to be able to go on short-term and potentially even long-term disability, because again, these issues have been ongoing, and this looks like the straw that broke the camel's back, basically. And so her question to me was, well, you know, there's a political dimension here, but again, this is something that it pushed him over the edge. Mm-hmm. So can he get disability? And so this brings me to the question, the more general question about what kind of disability qualifies you for short-term or long-term disability? Because it's not just a tariffs or, you know, an injury if you can't work. Obviously, we know that if you have an injury and you can't do your job, well, that's obvious. But what about mental health claims? And what about the rationales or the reasons for why it is that you can't do something? Some people have personal tragedies. Some people have their own personal demons they've been struggling with. Some people have, you know, it's politics or other stuff. Look, the question really is, at the end of the day, not what caused you to be disabled, but what symptoms are you experiencing? What is the nature of the impairment that is preventing you from performing the tasks of your employment? I don't care if it was the tariffs. I don't care if it was because they saw you on TV, John. I don't care if it's because their spouse said something that they should not have said. Ultimately, if you are unable to perform the essential tasks of your own occupation, and it can be because of a physical impairment, or because of a psychological, mental health issue, it doesn't matter what pushed you over the edge. The question is, are your doctors or whoever's treating you agreeing that you cannot work? And if the answer is yes, if you cannot work, and they will put that down on paper, they'll say that you are disabled at this point in time from performing the essential tasks of your occupation, you should qualify. You should qualify for short-term, and if that continues on beyond the short-term period, which usually is anywhere from 3 to 6 months, you should qualify then for long-term disability. Again, the question is not what caused it. It's interesting. Insurance companies want to know, obviously, but sometimes you don't know. By the way, I've had clients who have had neurological issues or have had psychological issues where the diagnosis was elusive. Different people, different treatment providers, different specialists were not able to agree on a diagnosis. That was not the determining factor. The question was, is the person unable to work? If the answer is yes, and the doctors agree on that, this person should be getting disability. Period.
It's interesting because you think by this time insurance companies in some way might have learned, you know, back when the pandemic was wrapping up, it wasn't all physical problems that people were suffering from. Some people, again, had, you know, mental issues because of the pandemic, being secluded, being locked in, whatever, and insurance companies had to pay.
You would think. Right. You would think. We're still dealing with COVID-related claims.
Yep.
Not just physical type claims, psychological type claims. You know, listen, COVID did the number on the whole world. Not just physically, not because so many people died only and were injured and are now chronically injured, respiratory illnesses, etc., but psychologically. And people lost loved ones. So, you know, the point is, you'd think insurance companies would learn. It's not that they haven't learned. It's that they want to stop the tide. They want not to pay. That's what insurance companies do. By the way, it's not just disability insurance. It's house insurance, travel insurance, car insurance. You know, when is the last time you've had an insurance agent say to you, or an adjuster say, "Oh, we're glad to pay"? No.
Love to pay you.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'll tell you they'll be there. They'll be there when it's rainy. They'll hold the umbrella for you. You know, they'll be your friends. Nonsense. Now, I'm not saying every insurance company, every adjuster is bad. All I'm saying is there is a model here, and the model for insurance, the insurance industry, is to take in premiums and not pay claims or pay as little as possible. And so one of the ways they do that is they try to figure out, is there an argument, is there something they can tell you to dissuade you from either starting a claim, or if they can deny you, give you a whole bunch of reasons and make you think like you have no claim. And that's the more powerful one. When they make people think that they have no claim, people just walk away from their rights.
Quickly, do they tend to feast more on mental health issues? Because as we've mentioned countless times on this show, there's not always an X-ray, a CT scan, a physical diagnosis to prove it, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Think about this. People who are suffering from depression, from anxiety, from those kinds of mental health issues, first of all, number one, it's much more difficult for them to take on the insurance company or even to make an application and contemplate the idea of being denied. But once they do that, they are vulnerable individuals. You know, if you broke your leg, you're still in the right mental state to take on the insurance company if I tell you you can. Mm-hmm. When I talk to somebody who has a major depressive disorder or significant anxieties or whatever phobias, whatever the situation is, those individuals are a lot more vulnerable. In fact, most of the time, I need the family to actually rally and support. And I need them to just give me the instructions to go after the insurance company, but it's very tough. Insurance companies understand that. They know that people who are suffering from mental health issues are vulnerable. They're a vulnerable segment of the population. Right. And in my opinion, they prey on them.
PocketDisabilityLawyer.ca. Tell me about it.
That's a website we created a long time ago. It's been used widely thousands of times across the country. For anybody out there who doesn't want to pick up the phone, doesn't want to email, you just want to go to Google and get the answer straight out, don't go to Google and just type in your question, because chances are you're going to come across websites which are either not relevant to the issue that you're looking at, maybe they're outside the jurisdiction. Remember, the law is different depending on where you're looking at it. Province by province, you know, if you get to a stateside firm, it's a different law altogether in the U.S. So PocketDisabilityLawyer.ca, we created that website. It's anonymous, it's free, it's quick. It's got a few drop-down menus. It'll answer all your questions about your disability claim. If you've been denied disability, if you are being told by the insurance company to see one of their doctors, if you are told that you can appeal a denial, you have these kinds of questions, you don't want to call us for some reason, go to PocketDisabilityLawyer.ca. You'll get an answer fairly quickly. It's accurate, it's anonymous, no reason not to use it.
Radio shows all across the province and country, for that matter, disabilityrights.ca to find a station near you. Let's get to a phone call, Sivan. Listen up.
Calling for a friend, actually. So he was on LTD. He ran out of LTD. The employer's getting rid of him. Frustration of contract. They offered him 1 week for every year, and he's been there about 25 years.
You say he ran out of LTD. How did he run? Did he turn 65? Is that why he ran out of LTD?
No, I think he's been on it for 2 years, I believe.
That's our good friend and your partner, Lior, of course, an employment question, which there's a lot of crossover, which we always say between the two, right? Here's a perfect example. How do you handle it?
Yeah, our firm is very unique in that we have expertise both in employment law and long-term disability law. Some firms will say they have that, but we actually, walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Yeah, this is a very unfortunate situation, and it happens actually more regularly than I'd like to see, which is that individuals out there are preyed upon by the insurance company, and I'll get into this in a second here with this voicemail, or with this call, and on the employer side. And so Lior and his team will help people with the employment side of things, right? So Lior would have answered this gentleman's question about the severance. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, and what jumped at you just like it jumped at me, he was cut off at the 2-year mark, and that's when most people get cut off long-term disability. So either most of the time we see people denied outright their disability claim, so we deal with a denial, or a person is on LTD, long-term disability, and then around the 1.5 year mark, the insurance company is starting to make certain moves, maybe have them seen by an assessor, maybe start asking them questions about, well, when can we talk about returning to work, various things like this to try and nudge you towards a direction of stopping those benefits. And why the 2-year mark? Why that area? Why that timeline? Because that's usually when most LTD policies, the test for LTD changes, the criteria changes. For the first 2 years of being on LTD, the criteria is, can you perform the essential tasks of your own occupation? If the answer is yes, you cannot perform those tasks, well, you should be getting long-term disability benefits. Beyond the 2-year mark, the test is no longer can you perform the tasks of your own occupation, it's can you perform the essential tasks of any occupation for which you're suited for by training, education, or experience. Essentially, if you're looking at commensurate income, if you're looking at a different type of a way of looking at it, can you get a job and hold down a job at that 2-year mark that will pay you what your disability carrier is paying you, what your insurance company is paying you for LTD, 60-65% of your income? If the answer is no, if you cannot perform another occupation for which you're suited for, well, you should continue getting LTD. In this case here, what I think happened is this person was cut off at the 2-year mark. I don't know if he pursued that benefits or not. Probably not. Many people think that they only get benefits for 2 years.
Right.
That's a misconception. Misconception. Rarely have I seen policies that are 2-year policies. Generally, these policies go to age 65, sometimes even beyond that. But insurance companies will tell you, well, you got benefits for 2 years, so that's that. No, no. Most policies go to age 65. The test for getting those benefits beyond the 2-year mark changes, but most people, if you cannot continue working in another occupation after the 2-year mark, you should get those benefits continuously. So Lior can help this gentleman with the severance. My team and I 100% can help this gentleman with the disability claim.
Great stuff. Let's take our first break and we'll get back with our main topic. How can your medical team strengthen your LTD claim? We'll cover that on the other side as we roll on with more of the Disability Law Show. Stay with us.
People think you have to sign back a severance offer by a deadline. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Deadlines are used as a pressure tactic. Make sure the offer is fair before you sign. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. Can insurance companies deny long-term disability claims for mental illness?
When you're suffering from a mental health disability, insurance companies just don't understand. But we do.
They can absolutely not force you back to work. If your doctors say you are not ready and you know you're not ready, they cannot make you go back to work.
If you have a mental health disability and your claim is denied, don't give up. Give us a call and let us fight for you.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think you aren't owed severance pay if you are fired for a reason. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Most for-cause terminations are false, and you are still owed full severance. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
Alrighty, welcome back. Disability Law Show. Lots more to cover off. First, let me give you some contact information like we do when we come back from a short break as we just had. First, the phone number to reach Sivan and his team, 1-855-821-5900. Chats, all that. Consultations free, so take advantage of the phone number. help@disabilityrights.ca is the email. We'll get back to those in a few minutes as well. But a main topic for the week. This week, Sivan, as you know, can your medical team or how can your medical team strengthen your LTD claim? Point number one, your doctor should provide clear medical evidence showing how your condition prevents you from working. That is key, off the top.
How your condition prevents you from working. That's absolutely key. And what I typically see, and sometimes insurance companies will come back denying a claim or an application for long-term disability saying there's insufficient medical documentation proving that you are disabled. And so I ask the individual that's coming to me for help, I say, well, show me what you gave the insurance company. And they give me the stuff that they've given the insurance company, and all I see are clinical notes and records, and it's gobbledygook, you know, or whatever the phrase is. It's just stuff, medical lingo. That's not enough for the insurance company. You need to have something there from your doctor or from your physiotherapist, your psychotherapist, your psychologist, whatever it is, that explains in no uncertain terms why it is that you are unable to work, how your symptoms are preventing you from working. I'll give you an example. Something very simple. Let's say that you suffered an injury, a leg injury, let's say, and let's say your job requires you to be on your feet all day. That's pretty simple, right? Your doctor can simply say, look, John suffered a fracture to his knee. He's going to be out of commission for the next 3 months, whatever that is. He cannot bear weight on that leg. He cannot. Very simple. It becomes a bit more complex when you're dealing with certain illnesses, mental health issues. But again, it's critical, it's absolutely critical that your doctors or whoever is treating you is providing, in plain English, I would say, information to the insurance company, an opinion that says that you are unable to work because of X, Y, and Z, or you cannot do this and that because of X, Y, and Z. The more clear they are about that, the more chance there is the insurance company will say, okay, we agree, we're going to approve this claim. So that's very, very important. Your doctor or your doctors or your treatment providers need to provide an explanation as to how your symptoms, how your condition prevents you from doing your job.
Okay, second point, how your medical team strengthen your LTD claim. Regular medical visits and treatment prove your condition is serious and that you're following medical advice. You got to keep doing that.
Proof. Proof. Your claim is as strong as what we can prove, as what you can prove. Insurance companies know this. Insurance companies are evaluating claims on the basis of what would happen if this goes to court. Can you prove that this person is in fact disabled? Can you prove that this person is in fact complying with treatments? Well, that's not difficult to do if you continue getting whatever treatments are prescribed, if you continue undergoing those treatments, if you continue going and seeing. By the way, by seeing doesn't even have to be in person. Right? I mean, post-COVID, we have a lot of Zoom or whatever other kind of appointments you can have. The important thing is that there is a clear medical record, a medical trail that shows that you are in contact with whoever is treating you and that you are, again, compliant with the treatments that they are recommending for you. And if something's not working out, then maybe there's a different treatment. But the point is you're trying to get better. If you have those regular visits, and by regular, I don't mean every day, but I also don't mean once a year, okay? It has to be something reasonable depending on your condition. But if you have those regular visits, if you have those treatments, that, to me, will be sufficient proof that the insurance company must then take and approve and agree that, in fact, you are disabled.
When you mention proof, would it also bolster your case if you're like physically and mentally capable to keep a basic record of the appointments you've had, what time, what was covered, if you want to go into that depth?
That's
Keep a diary?
100%. The more records you have, the better it is. Absolutely. Not everybody can do it, John, but
yeah, that's what I mean.
For sure. Absolutely. The more you take control of your own situation, the better. The insurance company, again, as much as they're supposed to be there for you, as much as they're supposed to potentially protect you, that's what they're selling you really, right? Insurance, what is insurance? Insurance is protection. They're selling you a product. That product is peace of mind. Okay? Courts have recognized that, by the way. Yeah. Peace of mind. That's why we have insurance. I don't know how many people I've met that have said that they've got nothing but peace of mind. And so the way you protect yourself against insurance companies is you keep a record of things. Keep a record of appointments. Keep a record of what was said with you and the adjuster. Keep a record.
Point number 3 on how your medical team can strengthen your LTD claim. A specialist can reinforce your need for LTD benefits, meaning go past your family doctor or your GP, if you need to, right?
Yeah, you need to do this, obviously, hopefully in conjunction with your family doctor. Look, some types of illnesses and injuries require specialist intervention, a specialist opinion. Mm-hmm. Could be orthopedics, could be neurology, physiatry, chronic pain, could be psychology, psychiatry, any number, rheumatology, depending on what it is. Now, look, we have constraints in the medical system. So I'm not saying get a specialist just for the sake of the claim, but oftentimes a specialist can actually advance your healing and can help you. But it also helps you if you have a specialist, and that specialist ultimately provides an opinion that you cannot work because of whatever it is you're suffering from. Whether it's arthritis, you go to a rheumatologist. Whether it's a psychological issue, you have a psychologist, analyst, whatever it is. So it's important. Again, if you're able to get those people on your side and they can help you from a treatment standpoint, trust me, it will also help with your claim because the insurance company will not be able to say, oh, you just have a family doctor. Not that I diminish family doctors, it's very important. But if you have a family doctor on your side and someone who has a specialty in the area in which you are impaired, that goes a long way in persuading an insurance company that they should approve your claim.
We covered that off nicely. We got to get into a short break, and then we're going to flip back over to your questions through email and otherwise. So stick around for that. More of the Disability Law Show is just ahead. We'll be right back.
People think you should go to the government to get severance pay. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Government can only help you get minimum severance, but not everything you're entitled to. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca. If your long-term disability claim is denied, should you appeal?
Appeals often fail because insurance companies control the process. So long as you appeal, you're playing by their rules.
You should never appeal the denial of your disability benefits. Appeals are just a mirage of false hope.
Don't. That's their process. Take it out of their hands and fight for your rights with our help.
Go to disabilityrights.ca. Discover your rights, fight back, and get what you're owed. People think their employer can make changes to their job. EmploymentLawyer.ca says that is a myth. Your employer can't change your pay, hours, or duties. You may be entitled to full severance pay. Always check with the employment lawyer first at EmploymentLawyer.ca.
Okay, welcome back. Disability Law Show. A few minutes to go, so we're back into emails and that stuff. Your contribution to the show, as always, can be made through email. First of all, help@disabilityrights.ca. And if you want to reach out to Sivan and his team on the phone, it can be a simple chat, a question, or a consultation. Those are free. 1-855-821-5900. Here we go, Sivan. First email for this show comes from Taylor. Says, after a car accident where I suffered neck and spinal injuries, I'm on very heavy pain medication and struggle with mobility. I applied for long-term disability, but the adjuster has been slow to respond. I've been trying to keep working and make ends meet, but won't be able to do that much longer. The adjuster claims that because I'm still working, I'm not, quote unquote, totally disabled. Is this true?
So, very interesting question from Taylor. And first of all, when it comes to car accidents, we deal with those kinds of accidents as well in Ontario specifically. And I can tell you, John, they can be very, very severe. I mean, in this case, spinal injuries and everything else, that's tough. And I can't blame him from trying to work. I mean, if you have no benefits coming in, no money coming in, that's very, very difficult, right? Now, he should be getting certain benefits from his own automobile insurance company. And if he's not, we can help him with that, obviously. But I want to focus on what his LTD adjuster has said, that his benefits, that he will not get paid because he's not totally disabled. This idea, this phrase, total disability or totally disabled, is an invented term. It's a term that is found in long-term disability contracts and policies. And it is very, very misleading because when you're told that you're not totally disabled, and let's say that you're not, in your mind, totally disabled, you think the insurance company is correct because you're interpreting the word totally the way that a layman's person does, right? I totaled my car, meaning the car is completely destroyed. That's not what this means in the context of long-term disability. Being totally disabled does not mean you're catatonic, doesn't mean that you are brain dead, doesn't mean that you have, God forbid, all your limbs were cut off. No. All it means is that you cannot perform the essential tasks of your occupation. Now, in this case, Taylor says that he's been trying to keep working, but won't be able to for much longer. I think that if his doctors confirm this, what better evidence is there that he is in fact disabled from working, which means he qualifies under the total disability definition of an LTD policy. If you cannot work, if you cannot perform the essential tasks of your occupation, you are totally disabled. That's the definition of total disability under LTD policies. Do not be misled by the word total or totally. It's there to confuse you. Period. And it's confused not just people, John, regular people, but doctors, treatment providers of all stripes. And I have this conversation all the time, and it's very frustrating because people think that they're not owed LTD because somehow they're able to do. I give an example sometimes of someone who's injured their pinky finger. Let's say that person is a concert pianist or violinist or a surgeon, and because of that pinky finger injury, just a pinky finger, they can't play their instrument or they can't perform surgery. They are totally disabled for the purposes of LTD because they cannot perform the essential tasks of their occupation. So Taylor, we can help you here both with your accident claim because it's really important. There are significant compensation and benefits you potentially are entitled to, but also with your LTD adjuster here. And it's important to understand that there is an interplay between the benefits you may be receiving from your automobile insurance company and your LTD. Again, something that we know a lot about, that we deal with in my firm and with my team, and so we can help you after this show. We can connect and talk about what it is that you need to know.
Taylor, appreciate that. You want to use another resource to ask your questions that may appear on a future show as well. The website's called mydisabilityquestions.com. It's free, it's anonymous. In that regard, Noah is up this week. Sivan, Noah says, I was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy almost 6 months ago. My doctor wrote the insurance company to confirm I was unable to work. The insurance denied my claim on the basis that my doctor was not explicit in his recommendation. I appealed denial with the insurance company, but they have been dragging on the process for months. I am beyond frustrated. Can you help?
Well, I understand why Noah is very frustrated. So there are three issues here that I want to deal with here. Number one, Noah says that the insurance company says that his doctor was not explicit in his recommendation. So one of the problems is that we don't know what the doctor actually said. But this goes to my point initially at the show, the beginning of the show, where I said that doctors have to be explicit, treatment providers have to be explicit, use plain English and explain to the insurance company why the person cannot work, what is disabling them exactly. Assuming this was done here, the insurance company then is wrong to deny the claim. But the second point here is with respect to the appeals. He appealed the decision and he says now the insurance company is dragging their feet. So that leads me to my third point as well. But let's focus on the second point, which is appeal. The third point being dragging their feet. Appeals. Most of these appeals will fail. In my experience, in my colleagues' experience, these appeals are useless because you're appealing to the same people who denied you in the first place, the same company. You're not appealing to an adjudicator on the other side. You're not appealing to a judge who is impassioned. You're appealing to the same people who denied you in the first place, the same company. I'm not saying these things never work. I'm not saying appeals never work. But then again, go and play the lottery. Chances are someone will win, right? But you don't want to play that game. And this is a game that they're playing. Now, that goes to my third point, which is that they're dragging their feet. This is something insurance companies are notorious for. They will wait and wait and wait and wait. You will be frustrated. You'll follow up. They'll tell you it's in process. Here's what we do when we're dealing with a situation like this. If we are waiting for a request from the insurance company, so first of all, the fact that it was denied here, he can already start a legal claim. Doesn't have to wait for this appeal decision, okay? We can actually apply pressure now. But if you have a situation where the insurance company is not responding to you and enough time has passed, a few weeks, a month, I would simply tell the insurance company, you have until 5 p.m. Eastern time, Pacific time, whatever it is, to give me an answer by next Friday, 5 p.m. Otherwise, I will treat that as a denial. And I will seek legal advice and I will take legal action. At that point, you've now put your position clear, you made your position clear, and you put their feet to the fire, and they have to respond. And if they don't respond, you take that as a denial. And that's what we do. We tell insurance companies, we're not going to give you all the time in the world. Our clients are in need of money. You owe them this money under the policy. If you do not pay them, if you do not come back and say that they are entitled to this money and you're going to pay them, that's a breach of the contract, a breach of the policy. It's actionable. We will take action. And that's what we do as lawyers, as disability lawyers. We do this every single day. We go after these insurance companies. Because, John, I'm telling you, they've mastered, they've perfected the art of not paying, and people give up. And what we tell people is, don't give up. Just let us carry the fight. Let us do it. This is what we do. My team and I, we fight these insurance companies. We force them to pay each and every day.
Yeah, I think those two terms, total disability and the appeal, have saved them so much money. So much money for people they're breaking off contact. I can't fight them now.
Yeah, because insurance companies understand that that's the way to shake off claimants. They know that people will give up. They can gaslight people, and they do this every single day. And many people who are not watching the show, who don't know about this, John, they believe whatever the insurance company says, right? They buy, they drink the Kool-Aid. They think that they're wrong. They think the insurance company is right. And the insurance company ends up pocketing all this money that's owed to these poor individuals.
And it could be more than one appeal, couldn't it?
Oh, it's 2, 3. I've seen as much as 4 appeals. And then at some point, the person actually, unfortunately, goes beyond that 2-year mark, right? You have 2 years from the date of the first denial to start a legal claim. You pass that 2-year mark, you may be out of time. You may not actually even have legal recourse against the insurance company.
You can't get around that.
Yeah, you could in very rare circumstances. You do not want to be fighting that fight, though.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you reaching out. And again, mydisabilityquestions.com is where that came from. That's free and anonymous for you to use. We don't just pick them for the show. They get answered all the time on the outside because they come in fast and furious. So use that. Beyond that, the email address is help@disabilityrights.ca. Then there's good old-fashioned phone number. How about that? Consultations are free, and so are the questions to Sivan and his team. 1-855-821-5900. One more time, 1-855-821-5900. And we will catch you next time right here on the Disability Law Show.